gold, maybe non-auto. I had an orange auto, I sold it. Timed that one pretty well.
And we lost Phil.
Phil?
Where did you go, Phil? Oh, he's back.
Yeah, so I was gonna use my computer, and I'm like, oh, I got lazy. Use my phone. Then I forgot that you can't. You only have one port to like charge from with the iPhone, which is probably the same with the Android. So you can the charge one is the same as the audio one. And, all right, so I got 3%. I got 3%. We should be good for about 4 minutes.
I'm out of time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, eh?
4 minutes. No pressure. No pressure.
You only got 4 minutes to save the world.
The apocalypse happens. The recession turns into a depression. Topps, Panini, everything goes bankrupt. No more printing of cards. What are you gonna miss the most about the hobby?
Bowman, because baseball's the only sport where you can truly prospect.
Maybe. Probably not, but maybe.
And Bowman gives you a good floor, a really good floor on a product if you're to open it, and the best ceiling for any and all baseball products you produce that whole year. There's nothing like it with basketball and football. And the initial point being a big one, that you don't have to wait till the season's over to buy a rookie. You can get it 3 years before the guy makes his major league debut. And it ends up being the Grail card. So you're not just getting a card that's licensed and appreciated and respected, versus like a Prism draft, but you're getting the card and the best card.
Can I get an amen? Yes!
Some of that might have to do with maybe Topps hasn't done the best job marketing its high-end brand. You know, the Transcendence and the all the other ones that start with a T.
Titties.
Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty's like one of the better ones that they've done marketing, and it's one of the ones I like the most. But then there's like 2 or 3 that are more expensive than that.
The definitive? Isn't it definitive one?
Diamond Icons is one,
yeah.
And Transcendent. Maybe those are the 3. If they still even make all 3 of those, I'm not sure. That's bad. But yeah, Bowman is awesome, and it's my favorite thing.
Okay. Now, the only thing I don't like about baseball prospecting is that you can't actually watch them develop unless you're watching grainy minor league footage.
Waits at home. Griffey leads the Class A Bellingham Mariners with 5 home runs and 18 runs batted in. Not bad for a 17-year-old, but he's a little frustrated.
With like football, with basketball, you can actually watch them in college. You can kind of get the eye test, right? Because like I love analytics, but I also like the eye test of watching to see if a guy's gonna pop.
The more they practice it, the more they like it. Mahomes out of the pocket. That good throw, but look what he's still got. Oh, my!
That's the hard part for me with prospecting, is just relying on numbers primarily. Because I don't know. Do you watch a lot of minor league baseball?
No. 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 Hell no.
I think you're onto something, though. I mean, the fact that the scouts that have had a lot of success over the last 10 to 15 years tend to be the ones that are more quantitative. Some of the more new school fellows. And that's, I think, why a lot of the offices are changing their methodologies and how they scout and evaluate talent. And it ends up taking away from a critical piece of athletics, like athletic sports, right? Like watching the game like you do in football and basketball, and that's how you get like most of the sense for who the player is. But now it's like, oh, you shouldn't watch the game, just look at the numbers and it'll tell you more, because you might get biased. You know, that's stuff that you point out or that you notice from watching him like play. Yeah, that might actually be a negative and be a detriment. I don't know, impediment. I don't know. Forget it. Cut me out.
All of it. All of it.
Cut me out for the last 40 seconds.
Absolutely, 100%.
I find myself getting into lots of sports debates with. I can't tell if it's people that don't watch. It seems like there's a lot of folks that don't watch sports, that collect sports cards, that maybe watch a highlight and see a box score, and then have very strong opinions on players without actually watching. And I think they like Luka. For some reason, he is the poster child for hate right now, even though he's putting up a triple-double. And this one guy, AM Hoops, is really good content. He had a clickbait title, is Luka the next James Harden? And so he's a smart guy, so I wanted to watch and see what his angle was. And it was a clickbait title. He goes on to say, no, Luka is clutch.
There is a giant difference between Luka and all those others. Harden's curse is a history of playoff meltdowns. In elimination games, he's gone 2 for 11 3 times. He set the record for turnovers with 12 against the Warriors in 2015. Luka gets better in the biggest games. 8 40-point games in just 3 trips to the playoffs. One bad elimination game that Dallas still won.
He's not James Harden. He just needs better teammates. But there was somebody that was using that title to say, like, oh, he's the next James Harden. Like, without understanding the differences and actually, people forget that James Harden most likely would have won a title versus the Warriors if Chris Paul didn't get injured in Game 5. They were up 3-2. Chris Paul injures his hammy, and then he's gone for 6 and 7.
We went up 3-2, so we went to Golden State, and remember, I couldn't play Game 6, and we lost that Game 6 because we had the lead in that one too, right? Lost that one in Game 7. We lost that one. I was in a dark place for a little while. A few weeks, I was in a dark place.
Harden was actually close in Houston, but he had Chris Paul, another all-star. If you look at that Mavericks team, it's garbage. It's like hot garbage. There's not one guy that should be a starter.
Porzingis, he's still there?
No, they traded him. They're trying to get out of his contract, so they split his giant max contract into 2 smaller ones that end this year. But the only free agent available is Kyrie, and nobody wants to touch.
They got
guy.
rid of that.
Kyrie Irving, one of the most controversial names in all of sports, is now a Maverick.
That one didn't age quite so well.
That guy that went to the Knicks, somewhere in New York, right?
Oh, Brunson. Yeah. But you can't pay a 6'2" guard that's not explosive and not an alpha one $26 million and have him be your 1 or 2. Like, it's just not going to work.
Sounds like me. 6'2", not explosive, beta male.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'2" and no longer even remotely close to explosive.
I used to be 6'2". I'm actually 6'1". My
You didn't have to tell me that. We're all. You're sitting. I would have no idea. You could have just owned it. Said, I'm 6'3". I would have been like, Phil, that's great.
All right, then edit it out. I don't want my audience to know.
Absolutely, 100%.
So Bowman baseball is what you would miss the most if the hobby ceased to exist. What would you miss the least? Besides this show.
The lack of creativity from Topps' part.
Okay.
That's some of it. And I'm not so sure if that's going to turn around anytime soon. With the value that Fanatics is adding, I don't know if they're adding it in the creativity department with different sets and designs. We'll see. We'll see. And some of that might come down to profitability too, the way they make cards they do these days. I don't know. Maybe not. Serial number cards aren't cheap. I'm sure Bowman Chrome's not a cheap set to make. But redemptions, those are kind of annoying. I don't know. What do you think?
The fighting over grading. I am agnostic as long as it's PSA, BGS, SGC, CSG. Like, I think they all grade relatively the same. Obviously, there's undergrades and overgrades, but like the price gaps, and then just like you have people that are BGS homers or PSA homers, or everything's about SGC, and I just feel like there's not a lot of common sense when it comes to the same card in this very similar grade, and there's, selling for 2x.
I know. I'm the same as you. I'm agnostic as long as they're in one of these holders. One of these 3, then I'm completely fine. Price gaps?
You're goddamn right.
That is it for the inaugural episode of the aPACKalypse. If you have topics you want us to destroy on future episodes, please leave them down below. As always, I'm Freddie.
And I'm Phil.
And you're welcome.